Honda has finally deemed us Americans worthy of receiving the new CB750 Hornet. Now, this is a motorcycle that Honda absolutely needs to nail. The middleweight naked category is rife with competition, key among them the Yamaha MT-07. Ever heard of it? With its CP2 motor dominating for the last 10 years. So, Honda's come out with a new twin-cylinder concept, flashy looks, and best of all, a very affordable price point. I sent producer Logan out to the Sierra Nevada mountains to check out this motorcycle and give us the scoop.
Good morning, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is producer Logan here, broadcasting live from the saddle of the Honda CB750 Hornet. I thought I'd eschew the standard intro for today and just get started right here on the bike. So, you know, this motorcycle has been talked about, anticipated a lot, and highly anticipated to come here to America, and it's finally here. It's live in person. I am on top of it. So, CB750, for those well-versed in motorcycle history, Honda history, you're of course no stranger to both the CB750 and the Hornet monikers. This 750, of course, referring to the original superbike, the bike that kind of, you know, put Triumph and Harley-Davidson nearly out of business in the late 60s and early 70s. And then, of course, the Hornet 250 stems all the way back to 1996 in Japan, and then the Honda Hornet 599 and 919 here in the western part of the world. So it begs the question, does the new CB750 Hornet live up to its namesakes? And has this bike, you know, kind of 10 years in the making? Yamaha, of course, released their MT-07 with its famed CP2 parallel twin engine over 10 years ago at this point. So has Honda been quietly toiling away to make a truly competitive bike, and is this going to disrupt the middleweight naked bike class? I figure no better time like the present to discuss the specs of this motorcycle. The specs for both this CB750 Hornet as well as the CB1000 Hornet SP are really important. They're an important part of Honda's deliberate strategy to meet approachability and affordability with performance for these new Hornet models. I guess you could say they're really trying to leverage the girth, the spec sheet on these motorcycles. So starting out, of course, this guy has the 755cc parallel twin 270-degree crank engine, the same found in the Honda Transalp, a motor I'm no stranger to. I like this motor a lot. It's very fun, very linear, very torquey. It makes about 85 horsepower, 55 foot-pounds of torque. You know, pretty broad spread of power all through the rev range. Really, really fun bike to ride around. Moving on to the suspension, we've got non-adjustable Showa separate function fork up front and a preload adjustable shock in the rear. Something that is very special, unique about this motorcycle compared to something like the CB650 is the frame. It's got a whole new frame that is lighter, more rigid. It has a steeper rake. They did a bunch of things to really just improve the sporty nature of this motorcycle, and we'll get into a little bit more how it rides later. But right off the bat, that steep rake makes this bike super flickable, super agile, easy to throw around. Moving on, we got dual Nissan brakes up front and a single Nissan caliper in the rear. It feels like a similar setup to the Honda Transalp. They're not amazing, but for a bike that's designed for an intermediate kind of average street rider, they do just fine. Obviously, they could be improved with a pad swap, a fluid flush, a master cylinder swap if you were so inclined, but out of the box they work as intended. One of the things I've noticed pretty quick between riding this bike and riding the CB1000, which there is a review for that came out already or will come out in a few days, but one of the glaring differences, obviously beyond the obvious, like a bigger engine and a 4-cylinder and all that stuff, is the quick shifter on that bike. Very, very smooth, very, very easy to use, slips right into gear regardless of RPM input. This one reminds me a lot more of the quick shifter on the Transalp, where it needs a lot of throttle to engage. If you even saw that, you know, I was revving a decent amount of throttle, and it can be pretty jerky on upshifts unless you're like wide open. The faster you're going, faster engine speeds, higher gears, it becomes easier and easier. But gears like 2 through 4, unless you're really hammering on it, that upshift can be pretty clunky. The sensitivity of the lever can be adjusted But as it comes out of the box, upshifts for me feel a little bit clunky. Downshifts, on the other hand, pretty good, buttery smooth, auto blip up. But see, yeah, that quick shift, little herky-jerky. Other technology on this bike, we've got multiple ride modes: rain mode, sport mode, road mode, and a user mode or two. And within this electronic suite, there's adjustability in regards to traction control, engine braking, power output, torque control, and within that torque control is like a wheelie lift setting as well. So you do have the ability to kind of dial these in to your liking. And as I mentioned, Honda's really trying to come out of the gate strong with this new middleweight entry. Like I said, they had practically 10 years to mull over how they wanted to make a bike that could potentially rival the MT-07. And I think it's providing a lot of bike for the money. If I haven't mentioned yet, this bike retails for just under $8,000 MSRP, which is crazy for a bike that's making like 85 horsepower, 55 foot-pounds, quick shifter, adjustability within the tech settings. That's a ton of bike for 8,000 bucks. I mean, that's only a little bit more than like a Ninja 500 SE KRT 40th edition. But of course, tech specs only go so far when it comes to a motorcycle. It is about the sum of its parts, how it all comes together, how it feels to ride. And so I think we got to test it a little bit further. As we know, the spec sheet only tells you so much. It's all about how the bike rides, how it feels, what it's like to actually spend some time in the saddle. So now that we're in this kind of slow traffic, I'm gonna go over the ergonomics first. Right off the bat, very comfortable place to sit, very approachable, neutral seating position. My feet pretty low below me, nothing too crazy. Wide handlebars, short reach to the bar. I'm about 5'11", so maybe on the taller side of average. At least that's what your mom tells me. Just kidding, of course. The tank is nice and narrow, especially compared to coming from riding the CB1000 yesterday. The tank is very narrow, very easy to grip with your knees. We do have this jut here. If my inseam was about 1 or 2 inches taller, 1 or 2 inches longer, this might be getting into my knee a little bit. But as I sit on here, very comfortable place to sit. As I discussed when talking about the specs, all new frame for this motorcycle. Big part of that was the steeper rake, which you can definitely feel side to side on the tire. Very eager to lean over side to side, which is what you want in a sporty motorcycle. In terms of fueling, like I said, I love this engine. It's so smooth, so linear, so predictable, and that just makes it really easy and confidence inspiring to ride. Something like an inline 4, something that has a screaming top end, can be a little intimidating, be a little unpredictable if you're not used to the way those engines make power. But I feel like these 270-degree parallel twins are kind of dummy proof, like you know exactly what it's going to do when you twist that throttle. And when it comes to the fueling, I'm currently in sport mode. Good throttle response, no weird dead zones or anything like that. And what's so cool about this bike, it is a parallel twin. It's got a good amount of torque, accessible in the low down or mid range, but it really likes to rev out. This over square engine redlines at 10,000 RPM, which is pretty sweet for a parallel twin. And of course, that exhaust sounds really good too. As a Transalp owner who may have experimented a little bit with the baffling in that exhaust, I do know if you pull a couple bolts from the stock muffler, you might get a little bit more tone out of it. But as it stands in stock form, not a too bad sounding machine by any stretch of the imagination. Now riding here in these, kind of 2-lane country back roads, it speeds 50 to 70 miles an hour. You definitely start to feel the wind at your chest, but I mean, that's just the naked bike life, you know what I mean? What are you gonna do? Now we're getting on it a little bit. 5th gear, 70 miles an hour, still plenty of grunt. Doesn't feel like it's bogging down or that I need to downshift to grab any power or anything like that. So something I like about this bike, like I said, I'm not trying to make too many comparisons, but I did spend a day in the CB CB1000 Hornet SP yesterday, and by comparison, it's kind of a night and day different experience. They both kind of hit the nail on the head in terms of a balance between approachability, affordability, and performance. But the CB1000, like at the end of the day, it's still got 999cc inline 4, and it can be a little bit unwieldy, especially in very tight technical riding scenarios. Whereas conversely, the CB750 is very easy to get along with, very approachable, very playful in its nature, not just from the engine, but from its size, its smaller tank, easier grip, lighter weight, smaller engine, less rotational mass. Like, it feels definitely more playful than its larger counterpart. And even though, this bike is pretty playful, pretty fun, and I'd say definitely approachable too, not to mention, the $8,000 MSRP, like, talk about approachability. That's not to say it's a beginner bike or it feels chintzy or cheap or something you're going to outgrow very quickly.
We, of course, love Rockform for their rock-solid phone cases and motorcycle handlebar mounts, but they keep adding more and more new accessories that allow you to capitalize and expand on your existing setup. With a Rockform phone case in hand, you can attach it to a mount on your bike, on the dash of your car, and now even on a camera tripod. As more and more people get into motorcycle content creation, the Rockform tripod mount is a super convenient piece of kit. The 1/4-inch threads attached to any standard camera tripod, and the magnetic phone attachment allows you to super quickly attach your phone to get the perfect shot. The base of the mount is magnetic as well, so you can quickly slap the mount onto a metal surface, snap your phone onto the other side, and set up a shot without even having to use a tripod. Rockform has an astounding track record for high build quality and rugged durability, and this mount is no different. With a super strong magnet, especially paired with a Rockform case, your phone isn't going to budge. Rockform's been a long-time Yamaha partner, and their support is invaluable. If you enjoy your existing Rockform products and have an interest in using your phone for photography or video, click the link below and check out the tripod mount. Yamaha viewers get 25% discount as well if you use the code YN25. So hit that link in the description, use that code YN25 for 25% off. Thanks so much to Rockform for the support. Now let's get back to the show.
I think if you like to do urban tomfoolery, popping around town with your buddies, maybe getting up to some hooligan-like behavior, this bike would be a whole lot of fun. If you live in an area with lots of nice, tight, twisty roads like this bike's a ton of fun too. If you're slapping it up on the highway a lot, I think maybe a larger bike or something with some more wind protection, maybe better serve you. Not to say this bike wouldn't do happily. You can get maybe like an aftermarket windscreen or something, but it doesn't feel yet diminutive or small or like something you're going to move on from very quickly. I think in Honda's aim to make an approachable, fun bike, they'll manage to kind of capture the attention of a bunch of different types of riders of different experience levels. And now I guess we'll move on to sort of the, a little bit more of the thesis behind this video is what took Honda so long to develop this engine and enter this category that they've slept on for the last 10 years. Like, was it a fear of cannibalizing sales from existing models like the CBR650 and God forbid the NC750, but I think those are not comparable motorcycles by any stretch of the imagination? Or is it just a matter of biding their time, playing their cards right, really wanting to hit the market strong instead of making something that felt like a cheap imitation of an MT-07? And I gotta say, like, it definitely doesn't feel like a cheap imitation. It feels like its own thing. It's got its unique styling that really pays homage to the Hornet line. It's got the bigger tank, the narrow waist at the seat, the pointy stinger of the tail section. It really feels like its own, while it pays homage to Hornets of the past, it really feels like its own motorcycle and something unique in the category. And then, will this bike cannibalize sales from other models? I mean, it's hard to say. As in my perspective, I would much rather have a bike like this versus, a detuned 4-cylinder 650 class naked bike, which the CB650 with its inline 4-cylinder engine, it has kind of become a novelty in the category. It definitely feels like a motorcycle of a bygone era, like similar to bikes like the FZ6 and things back when like detuning 4-cylinders in a more street oriented platform was kind of the move. But now the Hornet really feels like a bike that as Yam would say, meets the moment. So I wouldn't be surprised if in the next couple of years we see the CB650 kind of start to wane from Honda's offering list, kind of disappearing from dealership floors, if you will. And then that also begs the question, you know, we're kind of in the era of cross-platforming. You know, of course, Yamaha's got their CP2 and everything from the MT-07, R7, 10 array, and then we've got the 3-cylinder in the MT-09, R9, Tracer 9 GT, and then Suzuki with their GSX 8S and 8R and V-Strom models. Honda's already making use of this engine in both the Hornet 750 and the Honda Transalp. So, you know, will we get a fully fared, not so super sport motorcycle with this engine in the near future? I think that would be sick. This engine's got kind of this like almost European feel to it in the way that it's got this grunty low down power with this rev happy zesty nature to it. And I think in like a Japanese built red fully fared sport bike with like a little bit more comfortable ergonomics with this engine would be super cool. It kind of would remind me of, you know, old Hondas from, you know, the 90s and early 2000s that had maybe a little bit more European flair. Think of what they were using to compete in, you know, World Superbike and stuff with. I've asked a few Honda representatives here if that's something that we could see, a not so super sport using this engine, and of course no one has any comment to say on the matter. So we'll just have to wait and see, I suppose. But with that being said, you know, I really like this bike. I think it's a ton of fun to ride, super approachable, crazy good price, like 8,000 bucks. Get out of here all day. Forget your Z650s, forget, you know, I won't disparage too many other motorcycles. That's not the point of this video. But I think for $8,000, awesome engine, ton of fun to ride, agreeable ergonomics, very playful and fun. I think it's definitely a great buy, and I think it's going to be increasingly popular, an increasingly popular choice in the segment. But enough yapping. I'm going to kick it back to the studio, and we'll wrap up my final thoughts on the 2025 Honda CB750 Hornet. See ya.
So, Logan, what'd you make of the Hornet?
Yeah, I mean, right off the bat, it's a super fun motorcycle. You know, as you guys probably know, I own a Transalp, so the same engine lives in those bikes. I love that engine, super fun. Probably the most exciting thing I've ridden from Honda in a long time. So to experience that engine and, you know, a street bias platform, 17-inch wheels, stiffer suspension, you know, more sporty geometry and ergonomics, it was a ton of fun.
So in relation to like the CB650R or like even the NC750, this bike kind of fits in a weird slot in Honda's own lineup. It makes a lot of sense for the middleweight naked, but like, how do you feel about it versus those other bikes?
Yeah, so in terms of the CB650, from what the fine folks at Honda told me during our presentation, is Honda did a ton of work making changes to the frame on the CB750, the overall geometry to make it more aggressive, more rigid, more sporty. It was something like 80% more torsional rigidity than the CB650.
That's a lot of big words.
And then as far as the NC750, you know, night and day difference, completely different bike. That one's very pedestrian, very commuter friendly. And while that bike's designed to be easy to get along with and approachable, like the CB750 is equally easy to get along with, but also elicits you to kind of be like, have some fun, let your hair down, goof off a little bit, like has a lot of hooligan energy like any good naked bike should have.
Speaking of letting his hair down, producer Logan got a new LinkedIn profile picture at the event. Letting his hair down looks really good. Josh put up that photo of him over here to let the ladies swoon over. He's taken, ladies. Don't come after producer Logan. This bike also, to me, the fact that it's so cheap is kind of crazy, right?
Yeah,
like the price point is nuts. Does it feel cheap is the question? Like, or does it still feel like a quality Honda product?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely feels like a quality Honda product. Like, there's nothing I would really have changed to make it feel more premium or more up spec. Like, you know, it has decent brakes, but it's an $8,000 bike that makes like 85 horsepower. Like, they're perfectly fine for what they are. But yeah, it feels substantial, doesn't feel diminutive or cheap, like a, you know, a chintzy disposable beginner bike. Like, it feels like a bike you'd wanna you'd feel proud to own.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at a little under 8,000 bucks, it's knocking on the door of like a well-equipped Ninja 500.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's definitely crazy, and that was like part of Honda's like deliberate strategy.
Yeah.
Was for this and the CB1000 Hornet to really come to the market with incredibly competitive price point. And yeah, I think they certainly did that. Like, I think Yamaha's maybe got something to be a little bit scared of. And Suzuki, I guess.
Yeah, I kind of feel like both Yamaha and Suzuki, I mean, Kawasaki's just been dead in the water in this competition for a while. Like the Z650, I mean, compared to the Hornet, come on, it's not even a competition. But what would you rate this motorcycle, 1 out of 10?
I mean, within the context of the type of motorcycle it's trying to be and how much it costs, like probably like a 9 or 10 out of 10. Like
wow.
I can't think of anything that could be different than that at the price point, like at a realistic $8,000 motorcycle, that could make it really any better.
Yeah.
Granted, I'm like a person with a positive outlook when it comes to motorcycling. I think bikes are fun. Like I think about how do I feel when I'm riding it.
Yeah.
And I'm not like constantly comparing and contrasting, but like it was sick. Like if I bought that bike instead of the Transalp, I would be stoked. Like I would still own it and whatever.
Yeah.
It's a ton of fun. Yeah, like it's Transalp's, you know, an adventure bike, and while the CB750 is like a naked bike, it almost has this kind of like motard, supermoto type feel in the engine, the grunty engine. It's like maybe like the, you know, the Dorsoduro, those like old kind of naked bike, supermoto, hope motard type bikes.
Yeah, and that's really where the MT-07 slots in.
Yeah.
I mean, we had one as a giveaway before you showed up here in Austin. I don't think you ever got the chance to ride it.
No.
But it's super similar to that kind of vibe. It's lightweight and it's peppy and it's fun, it's energetic. And the Hornet seems to be the same spiritual sort of thing. It would be awesome to get the two back to back.
Sure.
Because the Hornet's engine is just, that engine's awesome. Like Honda, I mean, not to simp for Honda too much here because you guys think we hate Honda, especially after the dorky videos we did. But that motor's awesome, man. That motor has like so much pizzazz and character, and it really makes the bike. So I'm a little jealous you got to ride the Hornet, not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, we'll just have to pick one up.
Yeah.
And compared to the MT-07 too, CB750, just bigger engine, more powerful, more torque. It comes standard with a quick shifter, like that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that Yamaha's got a little something to think about.
Yeah. So folks, I hope you enjoyed today's Hornet 750 review. Give producer Logan some love in the comments down below. He flew all the way to California to review this motorcycle because I got to do something really cool that you're gonna see this Thursday. Thanks so much for checking out this video. We appreciate it. We'll catch you in the next one. See you later. Keep watching Yami Noob.